So hello everyone, and welcome back from lunch. I'm Bill Mannel. I run high performance computing and artificial intelligence for Hewlett Packard Enterprise. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about what Hewlett Packard Enterprise has been doing of late. So this is a vendor update. I get the 15 minutes of fame as Ed Turkel mentioned earlier. So we're involved in a lot of these types of activities with our customers. So a lot of the typical HPC type workload, simulation and modeling, analysis, storage. However, we've seen more and more of a growth in artificial intelligence, and sometimes we dig deeper into that, into deep learning and also machine learning from that perspective. So we've seen a lot of increase in that. A lot of folks that are doing HPC are now branching into artificial intelligence. A lot of times what we see as customers that we've sold big data environments to are now trying to get the value out of that big data through AI, for example. So it's the next kind of bridge over from big data. From a priority standpoint, one of the important things that we did about a year and a half ago in Hewlett Packard Enterprise, and in my particular global business unit, was creating this advanced technology group. So you see that down here at the bottom. And we use this concept of horizons. So horizons are typically time frames. So with the advanced technology group, their time frame is 3 to 5 years out. So this was something that traditionally Hewlett Packard was not doing. But now I hired Mike Vildebill, whom some of you probably know. He was at DDN, he was at San Diego Supercomputing Center, and a very good pedigree for HPC. And so Mike heads this group up. And so among the things they do is advanced research. They work very closely with Hewlett Packard labs and provide an interchange with the labs community. So before, the labs was very research oriented. They tended to build things and then hopefully someone would pick them up and build products and solutions around them. And recently, they've become much more focused on building those solutions. So this area down here is how my team, from an HPC and AI perspective, actually interfaces to the labs, putting requirements in so that they produce technologies that we can then utilize as we go out. And typically, our Horizon 3 is 3 to 5 years. Our Horizon 2 is probably like 1 to 3 years. So these are things that my engineering team is working on today that would become part of the portfolio over the next 1 to 3 years. And we tend to build solutions around compute storage as well as recently AI and deep learning. We have a number of HPC market focuses. We sell pretty much everywhere, but these are particular areas where we've invested maybe in terms of talent for benchmarking. Maybe we build specific solutions and so forth in this particular area. And all of this allows us to drive our HPC market leadership, which is our objective as we go forward. Now, one of the big news since the last time I spoke at the IDC User Forum is the SGI Merger. So this actually closed on 1st of November. We're roughly about halfway through the integration. So on the 1st of November, all the legal requirements were satisfied. So we actually had a deal, if you will. We then started that activity. On January 1st, the US employees of SGI actually became Hewlett Packard employees. Now, the employees of SGI outside of the US have not yet become, so they're still SGI employees at this time. They'll mostly transition over on the 1st of May, so that's the time frame for that. And generally, the headquarters functions have transitioned much more quickly, so the engineering team from SGI now works as a part of my global business unit, and other functions such as legal and HR and those sorts of things have integrated back in, so it's a bit easier to integrate them. The field functions will take a little longer because they tend to be on quotas that are out of phase between companies, these sorts of things as well, so it takes them a little longer. And here on this slide, I talk about what are some of the things that we've achieved because we decided to merge with Silicon Graphics. One of the things is that we had a very copacetic, if you will, so very complementary portfolio merge. So there were things that we wanted to do that we never quite got to, and there were things that SGI wanted to do, and they didn't quite get to either, sort of thing. So by bringing those two portfolios together, that was very positive. They have a good patent portfolio. I think there's 650 some patents that we brought over. So that was a good thing as well. A good long history of R&D investment. One of the actual crown jewels, if you will, is the Chippewa Falls facility. So Chippewa Falls, it's a US-based facility, very high quality. They have a reputation for being able to stand up very large systems from that standpoint and making sure that they run well. So that was one of the, if you will, crown jewels of that. And also services and support people that really know HPC. Now on the Hewlett-Packard Enterprise side, I have a lot of service and support people, but they tend to be far more generic than the folks from SGI are. So I was able to bring on this team that really understands what servicing a big HPC system is like, or bringing it up, installing it. And then finally, we continue our commitment to a long-term roadmap. So we published our roadmap almost immediately. If you want to get that, then talk to your friendly sales rep. He'll certainly be willing to talk to you about that. But we quickly merge those roadmaps together and are moving forward from that standpoint into that roadmap. Speaking of which, this is the portfolio, if you will. So across the top, there were areas that SGI was strong in and Hewlett-Packard Enterprise wasn't, especially around research and academia, for example. Hewlett-Packard Enterprise very strong in oil and gas manufacturing from that standpoint. So again, these good complementary types of capabilities. PointNext is actually the new brand that HPE came out with for its support and services operation. And we're in the process of merging those together. And again, merging that capability for standing up and supporting large HPC systems. From a server perspective, our traditional supercomputing systems are here. So we renamed what was the SGI ICE-XA is the HPE SGI 8600. It took a long time to get to that name, by the way. So I think that took 2 months of discussions to get to that particular name. I was actually the original product manager for the ICE-X platform, or the ICE platform, when I was at SGI. But there's some method in that madness. The very last ICE machine with a number was the 8400, and so we continued that theme with the 8600. So this is our liquid cool portfolio. The Apollo 8000, which was the system on the HPE side, we're in the process of essentially merging those lines together from a technology perspective as we go forward. On the air-cooled rack level compute, we have the Apollo 6000. We're coming out with a new version of that. We call it Gen 10, which is basically the Skylake processor with Intel. So that's arriving soon in the early ship time frame. Our older generation product is the 6000. And then our 2000 is our dense rack-based product. So essentially on the compute side, we pretty much merged all the lines together, choosing the ones with the best features and price performance. And then we had a number of emerging HPC type platforms on the HPE side in our advanced artificial intelligence area, the Apollo 6500 dense compute platform, and a number of different types of platforms that offer various different configurations for accelerators, whether they be Xeon Phi or GPUs. And we continue the in-memory capability, so the UV platform actually merged into our Superdome platform as we go forward. And we're in the process of merging the software. So software was not invented in a day, and this is one of the bigger challenges that we'll have. So we'll be running side by side for a little bit as we slowly merge those pieces together. And then some storage, DMF, and the Apollo 4520 as a Lustre infrastructure continues with a new company. One of the things we do offer at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise is this what we call flex capacity. So a lot of our customers take advantage of this. This is sort of the next best thing to going to the cloud. So in this case, you're actually It's an OpEx type of transaction. You don't actually own the servers that can be in your site, or they don't have to be in your site. So Hewlett-Packard Enterprise holds on to the title of those servers, and you basically pay for them by the SIP. So we've had more and more customers that use this. In some cases, it's their total HPC solution. In other cases, maybe it's their burst capacity from that standpoint. So the best of two worlds, you get the flexibility of a cloud type of capability, but at the same time, you also get the security of having that data on site. Now, you'll be hearing more from us over the next month or so on this. This is our Exascale strategy as we go forward. So Hewlett-Packard Enterprise is in the Exascale race, if you will. We're putting a lot of investment there. Again, working side by side with Hewlett-Packard Labs, where they have a number of technologies that are coming together. There's some interesting quants on this side. Interestingly enough, today's top 500 systems, if you aggregated all the flops together, it's about an exaflop. So it's actually an exascale type of computer if you aggregate them together. But they actually consume 650 megawatts of power. So obviously, this is about what a typical nuclear power plant produces, by the way. And so it's about a half of a gigawatt, and a huge, obviously, CO2 footprint if you're going to power that with coal or natural gas from that standpoint. So that's just got perspective as we go forward. So there's a need for a lot of new technology as we go forward. So some of the things that we're doing and working closely with Hewlett-Packard Labs is a memory-centric architecture. So move data less. That way you consume less power and time and energy doing that. Doing new systems design for memory, fabric, and processor technologies. From a system technology innovation perspective, we're working in new memory technology and packaging, new fabrics, for example, and also photonics as well. So this is research going on in Hewlett-Packard Enterprise Labs. And then finally, on the technology ecosystem, so back in the fall, we did announce a new open interconnect protocol. We call that Gen Z. And so there's quite a number of companies that are part of the Gen Z consortium. So it's an open ecosystem, and we're working again with a partner ecosystem to start to enrich that with a number of different offerings. And I'll leave you with a couple of interesting customer examples. One of these was BASF. So I just visited them in Germany a few weeks ago. So they're the largest chemical company in the world. They have about 120,000 employees from that perspective. It's a very traditional type of arrangement from that standpoint. So they're with this supercomputer that they're buying from us, which will be in the more than a petaflop from that standpoint. I can't tell you exactly how big it is, but that's something that we'll see in June from that standpoint. But it's the first action of combining all these little clusters that are doing a whole bunch of little workloads into one large machine. So very different from how BASF has functioned in the past. They're very excited about that. And they see that as a way to move into the digital world. So they talk about digitization from that standpoint. So great customer success. And then the SubhaMe system. So traditionally, I don't know if Dr. Satoshi is here. I don't see him. So traditionally, the SubhaMe systems were Hewlett-Packard machines. In this case, it became an SGI machine. So this is one that we're in the process of building, actually, from that perspective. It's billed as the largest AI system on the planet from that standpoint. Very, very large system, basically 47.2 petaflops of half precision, because in AI, you don't worry that much about full precision. So quite a machine from that standpoint. And with 1 minute to go, I'm finished up. I can take a question or two if folks are interested in asking one. Any questions? Yes. Yep.
So, of course, we know that there's a great increase in people doing AI, buying machines for deep learning, neural net, et cetera. And so you talked about the rate of growth in that market. And this may be maybe a Hyperion question, but I'm hoping you can give me insight from HPE. In terms of total sales, not rate of change, but cruising velocity, what's the relative ratio between scientific cluster computing and this emerging AI market? Are they half and half? Are they equivalent? One's a fraction of the other?
So AI is still about a fraction of HPC from that standpoint. A lot of it is concentrated heavily in the service providers. So we do a lot of business with the bigger service providers in the world, and so heavily there. And so they buy lots of servers. Mm-hmm. And then most other people are kind of buying 2 or 3, and it's the big data thing all over again, where people are kind of experimenting and trying to see what they can do with it. And so everyone has to have an AI project, just like everyone had to have a big data project 3 years ago, right? 5 years ago from that standpoint. So that's about the blend today.
Would you say it's 10 to 1, 5 to 1, 2 to 1?
10 to 1, so I'd say about 10%.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other quick questions? All right, well, thank you very much. Appreciate the time.